we heard about the Art Kumbh and how big a population would be there, I spoke to Dalveer at Group M, and I said, let's go and see what happens. What can marketers learn there? What are marketers doing? What are brands doing? And what do consumers want or not want to do at Kumbh? So Dalveer and myself with a guy called V.R. Rajesh from Ogilvy and my colleague and producer Animesh, we decided to go to Allahabad and try and figure out what is happening. Those at the back, if you'd like to come forward, it'll be lovely. So we went to Kumbh and there are some stunning lessons there. So what I'm going to do is to, have a small chat with Alok and Dalveer. And there's a reason why Alok is here. Dalveer is part of the journey. Alok heads Laqshya Media, and he and I were talking about perhaps covering the consumer brand interplay at Prayagraj. And he said, why perhaps? I said, because we've got to figure out the cost and stuff like that. And Alok said, why are you thinking about cost when you've got such a big opportunity to learn? And he said, we'll figure out a way to make it happen. And Laqshya sponsored us, and we went there. And he sponsored us not because he likes us, but because he likes the interplay between consumers and brands anywhere. And consumers and brands in a congregation of literally crores of people is no joke. So before I start with Alok and Dalveer, can we have the film, please?
The holy dip, Naga sadhus, and lots of people. These words and visuals have come to define what the Kumbh Mela is all about. And this year was no different. Stretching over 50 days, starting 15 January 2019 till 4th March 2019, Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh transformed itself to play host to the Ardh Kumbh Mela. According to the state government, the Mela was attended by 15 crore or 150 million pilgrims, a number that has led the media to tag the event the largest peaceful gathering of people in the world. It's no wonder then that the Uttar Pradesh government allocated upwards of 4,200 crore rupees towards organizing the event. The budget was over thrice the budget of the Mahakumbh in 2013, making the mega pilgrimage the costliest ever. The budget enabled the setup of a mini-city in the designated 3,200 hectares of land and ensured that Prayagraj itself received an infrastructure lift. The city's 9 railway stations, its arterial roads and prominent building facades were overhauled. All this effort had a singular focus: to enhance the facilities for the public and establish facilities at the ground level to keep the event safe and hygienic.
Challenges accordingly just are parallel and as grand as the Kumbh, because we have to cope up with the population of around 10 million people, pilgrims who come just on their own without an invitation, just to meet and have a holy dip. The biggest challenge was one, proper traffic management, two, about waste management, how much quickly we can keep the city clean and defecation free. These were the two most important things. And apart from that, yes, when pilgrims are coming, how where will they stay, and what all facilities they'll be getting, and how much comfortable and at ease they can do this. They will do this yatra for sure to make it memorable for them. That was a real challenge.
The number of people present at the Kumbh Mela didn't go unnoticed by corporates and brands. Be it traditional mass media advertising through hoardings, interactive kiosks and merchandise, to quirky brand activations that aim to generate positive word of mouth by providing solutions to the pain points of the pilgrims, several brands, from the country's largest spenders to the hyper-local, were visible at the Kumbh Mela, all with an intention to get noticed.
The Kumbh sort of is our Super Bowl. It's enormously bigger in terms of the numbers than anything else in the country, and it often ends up being a conversation about the number of people that you can reach at the Kumbh, and naturally that is what attracts any brand or any marketing activity that is focused on the Kumbh.
Such type of events are organized all over India. Maybe scale may differ. Kumbh is basically where a population equal to Delhi is there for 45 days. So you get Delhi market in a small geography of 10 by 10. So that is the opportunity.
We've not been part of any great fairs or religious pilgrimages and religious fairs till date. The brand has been focused in the south till about late last year. And when we were going north, Kumbh is a great opportunity for a brand to be present. It's something that we realized at the Kumbh, seeing the situation. So it's a very topical solution that we found.
However, the opportunity itself, the millions of pilgrims, could not be targeted like conventional city crowds.
70% of these people are from the Hindi-speaking belt, the 9 Hindi-speaking states and the media dark states. And close to about 85% of these people are the CDE consumer, the low-income consumer from media dark markets. We can clearly segment the 150 million people who come into Kumbh into 3 sections. Majority of them, which is 90% of them, are the pilgrims. So these are the guys who end up spending from 2 to 10 hours in the Kumbh area. Then you have the Kalpvasis who at an average spend a week to 7 weeks in the tents, and they stay there. And then of course the third one is all the sadhus who are there throughout the Shahi Sanans.
Most pilgrims also have a laser-sharp focus of performing the holy dip, and hence not only did brands have to tailor their communication, but they also had to find ways to help the Mela authorities help the pilgrims achieve their trip's purpose.
For any activity to be successful, the message needs to meet the context. You know, one thing we realized from our previous experiences and from other similar activities we've done is that the mindset of the visitor or the pilgrim at any of these festivals is what we must tap into, especially for something like the Kumbh, where there's so many people and there is a focused end point that a lot of things in between become blind spots. And that is the challenge for a marketer, is to not become a blind spot in the devotee or the visitor's sort of focus on getting his end holy dip done or getting the visual of a idol done or whatever it may be.
It's good to find yourself, you're getting support from brands because you're doing so many things. So you get an extra effort coupled with your own efforts. So that's it. In that way, brands can help a lot. And public, it just doesn't look like a sponsor, just a government program. It's good if the brands also come up. Brands do have a lot of role because people, they touch the people in some way or the other in their lives. And so if for the Kumbh, wherever it is, if they can make their Kumbh Yatra a bit more memorable, that would be wonderful.
Generally, brands are extremely interested in investing in properties like Kumbh, okay? But most of the time when we do that, we are not very effective in the kind of investment we are doing, okay? So what we did was to come here 4 to 5 months before and meet all the people who were responsible in running this whole event. What our purpose was to understand how brands can really contribute to this whole effort of Kumbh that the government was setting up.
This attempt at helping the pilgrims with daily challenges that they could face on their journey became the default objective for most of the brand activations at the Kumbh Mela. So while Hindustan Unilever's Lifebuoy helped with an activation that encouraged people to wash their hands before or after using public facilities, Dabur's toothpaste brand provided samples for pilgrims for daily use. Apart from helping touch up and paint various buildings in Prayagraj city, Nerolac provided customized containers containing alum chunks for devotees to carry the holy water from the Ganga home. Red FM collaborated with Prayagraj police and enrolled ex-pickpockets for an activation centered around staying vigilant. Hindustan Unilever also joined hands with the authorities for a cleanliness drive to clear the huge amounts of litter in the water. The Swachhata Ki Savari, or the journey of cleanliness activation, involved partnering local boatmen and attaching nets on either side of the 100-odd boats that ferried pilgrims.
देखिए, हमारी संस्था तो सबसे पहले ये काम कर रही है कि अपने नाविकों को समझाती है कि जहाँ पे नाव बांधो वहाँ के अपने कचड़े अगल बगल जो हो उसको आप हटा के साफ़ करो, उसको कचड़े के डिब्बे में फेंको। यात्रियों को भी बताओ इधर उधर कचड़े पॉलीथीन का प्रयोग ना करें, वो डस्टबिन का प्रयोग करें, वहाँ पे जाके कचड़े को फेंकें। ये संस्था काम कर रही है और संस्था के अंतर्गत जितने भी नाविक हैं वे भी काम कर रहे हैं, वर्क कर रहे हैं। और अभी जो है हम लोगों के नावों में एक रूल लगा दिया गया है कि जैसे कि हम पैसेंजर भी ढोएं और उससे गंगा मैया में जो कचड़े जाएँ उसमें फंस रहे हैं और उसको भी सफाई भी होती रहे, दोनों काम हो रहे हैं बराबर कंटिन्यू।
Then there was an activation from laundry detergent brand Wheel that transformed an area in the mini city into a cleaning station and doubled up as a fun activity for the pilgrims as well. Similar services were provided by RSPL's detergent brand Ghadi. Meanwhile, Vim tried their best at an activation that targeted various local eateries around the Mela grounds. Brands also saw an opportunity to provide some comfort to the pilgrims. An activation by Bajaj two-wheelers had 50 retrofitted Bajaj Platina bikes ferrying pilgrims across the mini city, while Tata Salt provided a similar service by constructing special palkis. ICICI Lombard distributed acupressure gloves that encouraged pilgrims to get a little bit of exercise. And Muthoot Finance set up a custom cloakroom that allowed pilgrims to keep their possessions safe. Meanwhile, tyre manufacturer Seat deployed safety banners, or banners that doubled up as stretchers to provide some fast aid for the injured and help crowd control. And then there were brands that aimed to create a social change. HUL's soap brand Hammam sponsored changing rooms and distributed waterproof saris to empower women pilgrims at the Kumbh Mela. These saris were coated with a chemical that made them waterproof and hence didn't let wet saris cling to the body.
Honestly, what we are able to do right now is because of the time required to manufacture these saris and the sheer scale of Kumbh, we know that we are not going to be able to do a lot more. We won't be able to touch say 20-30% of the crowd or a significant number, but what we can do is use this medium, use this entire thing to do a larger social call out that the fact that the women feel uncomfortable is because they get stared at. That's the change we're trying to drive, that society needs to change its perception. It's essentially a part of the CSR, so we're not really hoping for any great brand numbers because we're not selling the product here, nothing like that.
So there are two parts to it. One is the brand love part to it, right, which is creating affinity towards brands, right. Now this is a place where you can create stories which will kind of build the equity of the brand in terms of brand love, right. So whatever meaningful interventions that brands do here, one, that is taken back by the people whom you kind of affect, back to their villages and smaller towns, and they kind of talk about it there. Can that be measured? No, it can't be measured, right? It also helps you create a lot of stories which can be put out on social media, put out in the media itself, okay, to create affinity towards brand. Now that can be definitely measured because then you know how many people are viewing your content, how many people are talking about it, what are the positive content talk which is happening about the brand. The other part of it is also that all these activities have an activation leg. You know, you are touching people, you are creating some amount of contact with them, and that can be easily measured in terms of how many people you are contacting, how many people you are touching, and how many people are seeing the activity, which is an approximation. You cannot have a scientific number to it. So these are the two measures that you can use to kind of see whether it's effective or not effective.
Colgate chose to use the Kumbh Mela as a sampling opportunity for its Ayurvedic toothpaste Colgate Swarna Ved Shakti. 3 crore mini tubes were distributed to pilgrims and small stations were set up near tents that provided water and a place for pilgrims to brush their teeth. In addition, the brand also distributed ropes to groups of pilgrims that enabled them to remain together in the crowd, and also provided wristbands to children so that their contact information was readily available in case the child got lost. These activations were aided by hoardings and pamphlets. All in all, it was a huge exercise.
Making the Kumbh happen is an enormous exercise, and a lot of moving parts need to come together perfectly because we are doing an activity for a limited period of time, in addition to everything that we're doing at a national level across all our sub-brands at enormous scale. So our supply chain systems, our communication development, our logistics to make sure that everything is provided, massive number of samples, communication across highway pit stops, right down to the akharas, etc., the wet brushing stations. So huge number of touch points done for a very short period of time, but at very high scale, meant that a lot of people across functions were working together as a team very intensely, doing pilots, doing checks, making sure that there were no compromises on quality, on the effectiveness of what we were saying, and so a massive logistical exercise that went off fantastically smoothly for us, and we're feeling really, really good about how it all worked out. And not to speak of how the Kumbh itself was organized at such a large scale. Huge credit to the administrators for managing this seamlessly.
Food and beverage brands were present as well. Keeping close to its cleanliness drive, HUL's beverage brand Brook Bond Red Label decided to reward pilgrims who brought in loose trash with tea. Snack brand 2Yum constructed a large lamp as the centerpiece of its activation, which included distributing 4 lakh packs. Nestle chose to set up shops in the Kumbh Mela market. Komasam catered to those who wanted variety in their food through its food court, while Amul had set up its own stalls.
So there was a e-tendering by the local Mela organizers. We participated and we got 32 stalls within Prayagraj. And then what problem is that when Kumbh is there, no traffic is allowed.
Right.
So we had to have our stock point inside the city, inside the Mela areas.
Right.
So we opened our chilled as a dry warehouse in the Mela area.
Right.
And transportation was done in the midnight.
Right.
Our refrigerated and frozen trucks were standing throughout the day to feed these 32 points as well as the local market. Because from outside you can't bring during those days.
Right.
Only in the midnight you can bring.
Right.
So that was the plan. Especially for the new product also we got very good trial like Meetha Dahi. And the product branding also is a very good opportunity. Because when consumers see every 10 meter, 20 meter Amul stalls or Amul brand, it creates good image.
Several brands got it right at the Kumbh Mela. These were the brands that identified and studied the demographics of the attendees and understood the opportunity the Mela provides. However, there were a few that didn't quite pass the muster. In the Mela market, brands including Nestle and the Himalaya Drug Company chose to keep most of their communication in English, a language that was lost on most of the pilgrims. High-ticket items or items that were priced above ₹50 found few takers. Simple signage and stickers proved to be waste. So while the brands were earnest in trying their best, the connect with the Kumbh attendees didn't click. And that's because for most of the attendees, the brands and their products were simply not affordable.
प्रसाद ले जा रहे हैं गंगा मैया का और माला वगैरह कुछ वस्त्र भी खरीदे थे वो सब ले जा रहे हैं।
इतनी दूर के सफ़र में कैसे ले जाएं सामान को, ये पहले ही इतना सामान हो गया।
विज्ञापन तो देखिए साधु संत के बहुत बड़े विज्ञापन है, भजन कीर्तन के विज्ञापन है, सामान का भी विज्ञापन है, सबका विज्ञापन देखिए, उतना तो विज्ञापन देख ही नहीं सकते हैं, चलना भी पड़ता है। खाना पीना तो कैंपों में था, उसमें ही नहा खाया, बाहर तो कुछ था ही नहीं।
थोड़ा बहुत अपना चाय पानी का खर्चा है एक्स्ट्रा और इसको ऐसा कुछ नहीं।
The biggest lost opportunity is to get the best returns on your investment. And I'll again repeat, you would never get 12% of the Indian population at one place. You will never be able to reach each and every village in the Hindi-speaking belt. The lost opportunity is also the commerce part of it. If you look at any of these vendors who are selling food products, even a cup of tea, which varies from 10 rupees a cup to 30 rupees a cup, and throughout the day they're selling about 500 cups. So 500 cups at 10 rupees is 5,000 rupees a day. 5,000 rupees into 60 days. So that's what a simple tea vendor earns. And if you have all the food items there in terms of biscuit, tea, chas, dahi, look at the amount of sales that you can get out of it. So to me, it's a huge lost opportunity for all the food brands.
For most of the brand managers and most of the companies, the scale of investment is a question, right? They all want to do something, okay? They all understand the importance of this and the relevance of this place, but how much they want to invest is a question mark which is there right now. Also, I think till now a lot of activity which has happened is on sampling and kind of getting people to try out product. I don't think so brands have really invested in creating ideas out of this place, right? So if you ask me, I think investment is a problem rather than convincing them to do something out here.
Meanwhile, the audience at the Kumbh Mela certainly seemed impressed by the scale of the organization and the facilities on offer, whether they were provided by brands or not.
कभी भी नहीं देखी जी ऐसी सुविधा जो इस साल सुविधा रही है, स्टैंडर्ड सुविधा, लेटरिन की, बाथरूम की, पानी की, रास्ता की, साफ सफाई की, सबसे स्टैंडर्ड व्यवस्था इस साल रही। हाँ, जीवन में पहला नंबर है जो इतनी सुविधा और इतनी स्वच्छता रही है कुंभ में।
सारा ही अच्छा लगा, घूमना फिरना, बैठना उठना सब व्यवस्था।
जहाँ इस भी कैंप में हम रह रहे थे वहाँ खाने की पीने की अच्छी सुविधा थी और प्यार प्रेम से सब लोग रह रहे थे।
यहाँ की सफाई बहुत अच्छी थी, कोई परेशानी नहीं हुई। घूमने में भी थोड़ा पैदल तो चले थे, बस वैसे कोई परेशानी नहीं हुई।
सरकार के द्वारा भी और खालसाओं में भी सबकी व्यवस्था थी, कोई रहना चाहे फ्री में रहे, खाने पीने की सब सुविधा थी।
बहुत अच्छा इंतजाम है, जो हम लोग सोचे नहीं थे, देखे नहीं थे, वैसे सबके इंतजाम देखे हैं और इससे भी अच्छा फ्यूचर में हो, वो बहुत खुशी की बात है।
Where there are people, brands will come. A popular adage that certainly rang true at the Kumbh Mela. But it was only a few brands that managed to hit the target. The Kumbh Mela opportunity is a unique one, and the big learning for brands is to identify the opportunity for what it truly is. To look beyond the massive numbers, study the demographics, and arrive at a strategy that can generate the most returns on the Kumbh investment.
Hi. So, for those of you who are still interested, I know it's amazing that still there are 100 people here. But, you know, when I went to Kumbh, for me it's a spectacular eye-opener. And I think back on stuff like the Olympic Games and football, where the total number of people is far less. And yet, they're able to get billions of dollars as sponsorship. So tell me, Alok, you've been selling all these unmeasurable solutions for a long time. Why is it so difficult to do it in India?
Firstly, hello. If we look at football and other stuff, I think they have huge television value, which does not that's not there for them. That's one. I think the other thing is most of the population is pilgrims who come are from rural India and are Indian people generally. That is the perception. Although it is changing. For the first time, I also went there, and it was a fantastic experience. But in so much of crowd, I think so. Whatever I saw, I think it is very difficult for any brand to even touch maybe 1 or 2% of the people who visited around 15 crore people. So it is very difficult for any brand to create big impact, is what I feel.
You know, Dalveer, you know, you kept saying lost opportunity. You know, what is the lost opportunity? What can brands do that, you know, that you might be happy to convince, I mean, try to convince, and why aren't they doing it?
So I'll repeat again, it's 150 million people coming at one location.
Which is what Sodhi also said.
Yeah, 150 million people.
No, his context was, you got a telly sitting in a 10 by 10 area for 45 days.
Absolutely, absolutely. Also, it's not that these consumers are coming there just to take a holy dip. They are spending money there. They're going to be there for 10 to 12 to 14 hours. So they're eating, and as I said in the video also, the food is a huge opportunity. You can actually create a Kumbh brand there.
Right.
If you're getting 150 million consumers over a period of 8 weeks, you can have one single Kumbh brand. Or you could, for food companies, you could do packaged
one full day's food.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner kind of package.
That's one. Second is they carry back things back home. So you could actually create a Kumbh package. could have different things. And the merchandise, which currently is not being done. So if you talk of football, if you talk of cricket, there's so much of merchandise which gets sold. Or IPL, say for example. In Kumbh, people carry back things, and there is no merchandise which is branded. So again, a big...
Sorry, Alok, you wanted to add something?
So I just wanted to say that many brands we also interacted before Kumbh, and they all wanted to participate, but they all wanted to do something which has never been done, big idea and thing like that. So I completely agree. I think there is a huge opportunity for sales which nobody is looking at. They are looking at marketing and creating maybe some case study or some award-winning thing rather than looking at the entire opportunity or understanding the opportunity in its entirety. Many of these people may not have visited Kumbh also in their entire life.
The problem, Alok, you look at this, there are two brands to my mind which did stand out work. One was Amul, one was Colgate. In both cases, when we spoke to the people involved, their investment in the logistics, the rollout, scale, transport, all that was months. They didn't start one day before. I learned Amul had taken a flat inside Prayagraj to be their office. For 1.5 years. 1.5 years they've been planning on this opportunity. And same way with Colgate. The amount of investments they made, Dalveer, Animation we drove from Jaipur to Kumbh. And because I am a smoker, so I kept forcing the car to stop because I needed a cigarette. We stopped more often than they wanted to. But what it made us do was to sort of see the activities before we reached Prayagraj. So we saw, for example, Colgate was active 100 kilometers before Prayagraj, not just Prayagraj. So we could, get a free sample 100 kilometers before, could brush your teeth whenever your bus stopped. And it was, so that was a crazy amount of planning. But, Dalveer, I'm going to ask you, you go to the Olympics and IPL and all this, you have to pay. Brands have to pay to do anything. While in Prayagraj, as in most of these religious gatherings in India, you don't have to pay. Here the authorities are saying, help the pilgrim and do what you want, as long as you help the pilgrim. So that's a golden opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, there are the two things. One is what all can be done. Right. So yes, marketeers today have realized, and I've been doing Kumbh for last 20 years, marketeers today have realized...
You can't do 20, you do 12 plus 6, 18.
No, it's 10.
No, so
it happens every... It comes back to the same location after 12 years.
That's what I'm saying.
But there are 4 places where it happens.
Okay,
so there's another Earth Kumbh coming after 2 years. Right. It doesn't mean that it will come back after 12 years. So that's one. Second is, the only thing which marketers today have understood is it's a huge area to win awards.
Right.
So what you see, their work is all about winning awards. So that's one barrier or one opportunity which marketers have understood.
Laqshya will talk to you afterwards about this because he's got very strong views on scam. He didn't have those views when he was in advertising, but now he's got.
That's one thing which marketers have understood. That's a platform where they can create things to get awards.
Right.
And that also, because you get 150 million people, and the moment you say that you did it within a crowd of 150 million people, it becomes an idea that...
But, Alok, move away from Kumbh. There are 100 mini Kumbhs across the country every year. Hundreds of them. You don't have the scale of, whatever, I don't know. Anything between 10 crores and 20 crores depending on who you trust. But 1 crore, 2 crores, it's a monthly thing somewhere or the other. Why can't we convince marketers to invest in these opportunities? I just don't understand it. I went to Kumbh. After that, I've been telling every marketer, for God's sake, next Kumbh, start today.
So, like Dalveer said, I think everybody is interested in an award-winning idea rather than doing something which really works. So after, I think, Lifebuoy Roti campaign, I think every brand wants to replicate the same thing which is not possible. So I think I can only remember 2 brands there. So I went from Varanasi straight to that Kumbh area. One is HUL boats, branding on boats, and News 18 large. They created huge these.
Which brand?
News 18.
Screens. Screens.
Everywhere, screens and stalls and those kind of things. So
Colgate देखा नहीं आपने?
Colgate, right?
अरे ये Dalveer will be very upset.
So maybe it was not meant for people like me.
यार 3 crore samples दिए हुए.
So you interviewed the people there. I think you should have asked those people which brands they have seen or they have.
Which we did.
Yeah.
Which we did. But as it is, we got a building crowd. We have a much. I mean, those who are interested, we can give you the entire footage. I'm happy to give it absolutely free. Anybody who's interested in this subject. Which I want to sort of open source this, and anybody who wants it, for God's sake, take it. Because there's lots to learn beyond. I mean, this is an edited version, but there's so much to learn from this. So, you know, you got touched by 2 brands, right? That's fine. There are, if everybody gets touched depending on their route. For example, all those who came by bus, they got a free toothpaste. Now, you know, you came by car, so it doesn't happen.
No, I would not say I was touched by 2 brands. I think because as a marketer or as an advertising agency, I was looking at brands and I could find only 2 brands who could create a little bit of impact there. That's about it.
Right.
So no other brand I could see with meaningful presence, because people go there largely for Ganga Snan and to visit some akhadas, and in those areas there was not too much of advertising or activation.
Akhadas they didn't allow it really. But tell me, what could a brand have done there? Suppose a brand manager give you a free hand and say, Alok, I'll tell you what, I'll give you so much money, but make an impactful difference to my brand. What would you have done?
So I think, like you said, people have to start much in advance to plan. So if somebody comes to me 3 months before Kumbh and tells me that do this or do that, it's not possible.
Right.
So you need to engage with the authorities. So like Dalveer said, you need to engage with the authorities, understand what the real needs are, and work something around those needs. Basic needs, basic amenities. I think then you can create something which is which really works.
I'll tell you the whole process actually starts about a year or 12 months in advance. That's one. Second is people who take decisions should have been to a court. Otherwise, for them, it's like they would never understand what you're saying. And we were lucky in case of Colgate, they had done earlier Kumbhs, they do melas across the country, so they understand that environment. Not only their understanding, but even the supply chain. So you saw both in the cases of Amul as well as Colgate, there was a huge supply chain which was managed in terms of logistics. How do you get 3 crore samples inside Kumbh over 8 weeks? How do you ensure, because those samples will be on one-time use, so they are going to be thrown. How do I then dispose that off? So not only giving those samples, but making sure that they get disposed of. And then the third thing, if the samples get into the market, you have a huge issue then, because these are free samples. So one is start in advance, the marketers need to understand it. Third is, Mela authorities would not allow you to do anything and everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they've got their rules. Their basic concern is, I'm going to get so much of crowd, how do I manage the crowd?
So this is the interesting bit. The Prayagraj authorities and the Mela authorities did not allow you to do anything which could create a stampede, could create a crowd diversion to some corner, and so on. So you couldn't say, let me go there and give away 1 million bottles of Coke. You could do it, they won't allow it.
No, so that's where the advertising always looks for eyeballs. Advertising wants you to stand and look at something. Okay, and then you want many people to look at something,
right.
Whereas the Kumbh authorities would not want people to stand. They would want the crowd to keep moving, because their whole objective is to get these guys to the bathing point and get them back. So there again is a contradiction in terms of you wanting eyeballs, you wanting people to look at one thing and have a huge gathering.
Yeah. You know, about a week ago, I gone to have lunch with the head of an advertising agency, and as usual, I had this terrible habit of being early. So I was early, and the head of planning of that agency Swami there. He said, Anant, you're doing nothing now, but one or two kills to speak to my younger planners. So I spoke to a room full of planners, 15 planners in the room, and I asked them, how many of you went to Kumbh? Not a single hand went up. I'm saying, if the planner doesn't have curiosity, you know, you're saying that you see this opportunity. Actually, it's overlaying what Alok said and you said. Unless you've been to Kumbh, you won't see the opportunity. Now, otherwise, like the Olympic Games, I might not have seen the Olympic Games, but I've seen it on TV. I might have not been to the FIFA World Cup, I've seen it on TV. One of the two needs to happen. Either you have to experience the opportunity or see the opportunity on some other medium. So, you know, tell me, why is it that brand managers don't go to Kumbh?
It's not that they don't go to Kumbh.
No, why don't they know about the opportunity?
Let's look at rural markets. Let's not only look at Kumbh.
No, of course.
How many Melas would have brand managers visited? It's again, most people know about Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, where they live. They don't know things beyond that. And if you want to know about that consumer, you need to be closer to that consumer. So that's the first principle. It's not only for doing Kumbh that you need to be at Kumbh, to doing rural activities or even activities that you would do for the low-income consumer.
Right.
If you want to plan something for a taxi driver, a lift guy, or the dhobi who comes home but who stays in the chawls, you need to understand the chawl environment before you plan or do something.
Right.
So I think our marketing, especially for the multinationals as well as for the large Indian companies, the lack of understanding of the low-income consumer is a challenge.
Alok, how do you plug that knowledge?
I completely agree with Dalveer. I think they are far off from the end consumer, most of them, and unless and until they get closer to the consumer and understand the consumer as well as all these large festivals and events, they will not be able to create, because if they just give you a brief that I want to spend 1 crore, 2 crore or 5 crore, do something which is award worthy and things like that, it's not possible. So they don't understand that. So few ideas like Colgate and others were
Colgate good. You said Colgate, so he's happy.
So they were really good because they thought it through much in advance and planned it, and it had utility value. So that is what can create any kind of difference there.
Fantastic. So I'm going to end this conversation now because we are going, we've kept you here long enough. I want to thank both my partners in this journey. Rajesh is not here, otherwise I will thank him as well. What I'm going to do for both of them is give them the entire footage, but that's not only two of them. Anybody wants the footage, it's available to all of you. You know what I'd love, of course, anybody wants the footage, get in touch with anybody from Curious, we find a way to give it to you. But I think the challenge for all of us is to try and see the opportunity, from a selfish perspective and end up doing perhaps a lot of good. See, all these brands, they ended up doing good while being selfish. That's the beauty of these opportunities. Thank you so much, Alok. Thank you, Dalveer. Thank you very much.
And I want to thank all of you who've been still here. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you.